Oh, try like a new story?
No, like you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about the format. I feel like for the show.
All right.
Well, I don't know that we do.
Welcome to the Rad
do you mean?
Dude.
Well, I think. Well, welcome.
Hold on. Let's do our normal thing. Welcome to the Rad Dudecast, episode 8.
Wow, 8. It's already been 8 years.
Yeah.
Is that what your understanding of when these episodes come out?
So
I have no
a new
chance.
episode is a new year to you. People are, I don't know why you keep saying it's 2013. It's 2021.
I'm Brendan Eyre. I'm here with two of my best friends in the world,
Anthony.
And Greg.
Anthony Devito and Greg Stone, who refuse, 8 episodes in, they refuse to give you their full names. I'll do it for them.
Maybe we get to 10 years.
So real quick, let's get the business out of the way. The Rad Dudecast, you can write us emails, and we will answer your questions on the air. That's theraddudecast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @theraddudecast. And listen, if you're listening to the show, if you're enjoying the show, which we know, we see the stats, we know a lot of you are, go on iTunes, give us a 5-star review or whatever review you see fit, and leave us a comment because we get bored.
Yeah.
We like to read comments.
I do want to bring something up for judgment before we even get started.
Okay.
I know that we have a no editing policy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I said a few things in the last episode that I really regret. And we can't do anything about it because they're already on iTunes. But can we maybe just, if I start talking about my genitalia, can you guys just maybe wink at me and I'll know that you just winked. You tell me to stop? I'm saying if I wink.
I don't know how to wink.
You double wink.
Yeah, I can only close both eyes at once.
Really? Are you serious? You can't wink?
I
No.
can't wink either.
Try it.
Okay. No, I can do it, but it's very deliberate. That's good. Yeah, you're
Oh,
doing really well.
Greg's winking right now, and it's great.
I
Well,
feel
I'll
like
tell
you got you're always good at like parlor tricks.
Well, that was the thing is when I was
Yeah.
little, winking and whistling were two things I had trouble with. And
Uh-huh.
I said, I am not going to be the kind of person who can't do these things. So I just sat with my dad, and he was like, just keep trying. And until I can learn how to wink.
Really?
And whistling, big on. Really couldn't whistle for
Give
a
me
long
your
time.
whistle.
What do you want to hear? Do you want to hear, let's pretend that Darth Vader's coming down the street.
Yeah. That's really
Well,
good.
What about
That
like
is really good.
What about like a hey, like get over here kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like one of
Get
those.
over here.
No, like don't say it. Like a whistle that's like that. You know
Oh.
when the guys the
Oh,
people
those
they
big
put
Double ones?
the double ones with the fingers in the mouth.
By the time I found out about that, I was so over whistling. I was so like, what I got is good. I don't need to be this obnoxious person because we had these these. I grew up in there was this one Italian guy, and he would go, yo, where's the baby? And he would whistle, and he would call for the baby.
Wait, what?
Wait,
He would
was
just
calling
always
his
say
baby?
that?
Yeah, Jessica was the baby.
The baby was trained to come to a
And I'd
whistle?
go, Joe, where's the baby? And then he'd be like, I don't know. And then they'd have to find Jessica, who was the baby, but he'd also have this whistle that you could hear.
Wait, he would come
Miles
over
away.
your house for.
Oh, I guess I didn't really set this up because in my head I know exactly what I'm
Just that-
talking about.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about like a sitcom character.
see,
Like,
and also-
that's his catchphrase.
In normal neighborhoods, I don't know if they do this as much, but in like the South End, people are just screaming on the street. So when you
Right.
wanted to find your kid, you didn't say, "Oh, come home at 5." You just opened your door and went, "Where's the baby?" And then Jessica would come home, or you'd scream, "Joe!" You'd yell for your child, and you'd come home because you'd know. Everyone had their own call. My stepfather would go, "Gregory, Joseph, time for dinner." Every time, time for dinner.
I like that these people are calling babies, which in my
Yeah.
mind elicits. I understand
Right,
they're
yeah.
probably calling older children their babies,
Well,
but in
he's-
my mind, I'm picturing your neighborhood. It's
Tiny
just babies crawling around,
crawling
loose
back to the
everywhere.
door. Yeah,
You're
just
not that-
loose babies.
Just a baby crawling out of the tree,
nailing their way back. Yeah.
You're not that far off because he would go, Joey. He'd call for Joe, and then Joe would be like, what? And he'd be like, where's the baby? And then he'd have to go find his little sister, Jessica, who was a baby. She was like 2 or 3. But, we had 40 kids on our block.
Right.
We were raising ourselves like wolves.
Well, I like that. Now, if I could not, I don't want to gloss this over. I like, Anthony, that at the beginning of this conversation, you referred to winking as a parlor trick.
It is.
Just like I'm picturing just some people at a dinner party. One guy stands up, time for a little entertainment. And then he just winks. And
Pay
then
the man. Pay the man. He did his winking. Pay the man.
He does a couple winks, then he does a couple armpit fart noises, and then yeah.
I've lost that ability.
Yeah, I know.
I used to be great with the fart
I never
armpits.
could do it. That's what I mean. Those are like parlor tricks. Those are like cool 5th grader tricks that I think got people friends.
Hold on, Greg is making an armpit fart.
That's what I mean. I feel like you can do all those.
Not that good.
Like sleight of hand kind of stuff. I feel you can do all that stuff. You like impress somebody at a bar. You're real good at that
kind of stuff.
Well,
which
I was one of the best waiters to ever serve at TGI Fridays because of these tricks.
Right. That's what I
mean.
mean.
That's what I look for in a waiter. I say, can this guy wink and can he armpit fart? Because that's the only thing I care about.
A sucker for that stuff.
I love a man who winks at me. I know he probably does it at any time, but he's just like, if he's just like, hey, don't worry, kid, don't worry about it, and he winks at you, it makes me feel special. I think winking makes you feel special on the inside. No?
I absolutely agree, and I have a story about that.
Mm-hmm.
This happened to me probably when I first moved to New York. There was this couple just making out on the train.
Ooh.
Just making out, and which I hate that. I don't like public displays of affection. I don't want to see that. It's not my thing. But so I'm just kind of like looking at him, kind of in anger. You know, this guy opens his eyes, catches me looking at him. We lock eyes while he's making out, and he winks at me, which real weird, right? I then get overwhelmed. My brain doesn't know how to react, so I wink back at him.
Yeah.
And talk about awkward.
How old was this guy?
You got it, though. That's a good question.
I'd say 34.
That's old enough to know that that's hilarious. Like that guy knew he was.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a fun. That's a funny thing to do. If that's hilarious.
Let me tell you something though. I agree. It is a funny thing to do. I saw this guy though, and I will say he wasn't doing it for a laugh.
Okay.
He was doing it for like a oh yeah.
Join the crew.
Yeah,
That's
look
funny.
what I'm up to.
Yeah.
Oh man. What else is going on with
One
you guys?
time I was on the train when we lived in Sunnyside, and it was me and my girlfriend at the time, and then there was another guy. I never met him prior to this, and he fake proposed to his girlfriend on the train, and everybody else was alarmed, and I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it was like the funniest thing in the world to do. So then I did it to my girlfriend. And then me and this guy really hit it off, exchanged phone numbers.
That's hilarious.
I thought we were going to, I was like, oh, you got a great sense of humor. I got a great sense of humor. We should hang out. We didn't hang out after that, but I really was like, I think I made a friend on the train who's as big of like an idiot as I am.
Good
and I got really
proposal.
excited.
Well, what is a fake proposal?
Well, he got down on one knee.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the girl's name, but he got down on one knee and he was just like, the whole train kind of just stopped and was like, oh my God, is this guy proposing to his girlfriend? He got down on
the
one
6th train.
Yeah, on the 7th train. He gets down on one knee and he's just like, Gloria, you're the love of my life, like the apple of my eye.
Now, did she know?
She's laughing. She's laughing the whole time. And everybody else kind of doesn't see that. And I am dying laughing because I'm just like, this is like one of the funniest things you can do. That was great. Oh, going back to the winking thing. Yeah, you can't do it. You can't wink, right?
Not really. I can if I concentrate. Both my eyes, they're connected. They play together.
Yeah, that's what mine do. You can do it out of either eye pretty good.
Yeah, well, the thing is,
You do it.
if you
Your
wanna
mouth
practice,
moves too, though.
pull an eye open. Just hold your eye open and just start doing both.
Greg's
And
holding his
eventually-
eye open like the guy in Clockwork Orange with those metal things,
I'll show
and
you.
he's just
That's
blinking
how you
another
train
eye.
yourself.
I'll show you my. What? That's
Now-
what I mean.
now
all
Greg's
kinds of
flaring
parlor
his
tricks,
nostrils.
Yeah,
man.
This
I have
guy
control over my entire
Has
body.
got every trick
my
in
ears.
the book.
Boom.
What?
He's moving his ears. He's
Yeah.
flaring his
You
nostrils.
can do all those things.
A real
well,
body
you gotta-
control man.
You gotta be in control of your entire body. If you have
When
being
did you
one.
start learning this stuff?
Well, I think I got in touch with my entire body at a young age because I thought I wanted to be Batman. So I was
You
like,
needed.
Batman
Oh yeah, he's
knows
probably mastered
his
everything.
entire body.
Oh,
So
that's pretty good.
I can make my lips thin.
He is.
you do
He's
that?
making his
Yeah,
lips
what?
get fat and thin.
Yeah.
I've
You're
never
like some
seen
kind
that
of-
before.
You have to be in
The-
control of your body.
His lip, ladies and gentlemen, his lips are becoming fat and then thin. They're pulsating.
yeah.
Crazy.
Oh,
That's
this-
why I think if I have to poop, my fingers hurt because I'm so
You're too
in
interconnected.
key with the body that my fingers know what my bowels are doing. That's why if I have one earphone, my eyes start to tear. I got a whole bunch of control.
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of weird trigger. You got a whole different. You've got a whole different system than other people.
See, I run the complete opposite
yeah.
system, and that's I've installed firewalls throughout my body. I don't want any part of my body communicating with any other part of my body. So, in other words, I don't want my hands knowing what my brain is up to. I don't want my eyes having any
complete no trust
contact with
system.
my nose. It's a no trust. If nobody knows, nobody's accountable.
Sure.
So everyone do their own thing. I say, foot, you're on your own. Be a
Yeah.
foot. That's your only business.
That's great.
You don't fucking worry about what the hip's up to because you're a foot.
If you go to jail for like cocaine, you can just tell a judge, "Hey, nobody else knows what this nose is doing.
Yeah.
This is his nose's problem. That wasn't me.
You
Yeah.
can ask my
I
brain,
gotta-
but he
Yeah.
can't tell you.
Take the nose off." I
yeah,
say, punish him.
Take my nose to jail.
Yeah.
Now,
Rest
let's
of the
bring
body.
this full circle. The reason this came up in the first place. Oh, you gotta.
I got more winking stuff.
Okay.
I wanna talk about.
No, of course.
I can't. I'll show everyone. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but this is radio.
Yeah,
Well, I'll
but
describe.
We usually
Alright.
describe.
Okay. All right.
Well,
All right.
I wouldn't say we describe.
You
Yeah.
describe.
Brendan will describe it.
I'll
All right.
describe.
You took yourself real to task on that one, bro. Just say that.
No, well, let's see this thing.
All right. This is because I can't do it both eyes. That's the one. I feel like.
Hold on. What do you?
No, you're trying to wink.
Yeah.
You're just grinning
I
like
feel
an idiot.
Really?
Yeah, you're just doing
He's
this.
just grinning like a pirate. Anthony's trying to wink. Neither of his eyes close. Just the left side of his face grimaces.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to get a nut out of the side of his teeth.
It's real. This is,
Hold on, do it again.
the other eye, I can't even come
He's
close with
trying
the
to
left eye.
wink. Neither eye closes. I've
No.
never seen anything like this.
Yeah. Okay. I bring this up because we used to play this game in college called Assassins, which was winking was a part of it.
Right.
Like if you winked at a person and they saw you wink at them, like either you were out or they were out. I forget how it was. It was a card game, a lot of fun, and I couldn't wink, so I used to have to stick out my tongue like a frog. Like that would be my thing. Like
I
I'd
know
have
the
to.
frogs do that.
Like that.
That you do that.
I'd
Yeah,
have to
frogs
do
will
that
do that,
as
yeah.
my thing.
Yeah, they can catch a fly.
Yeah. Oh man, God damn, that's pretty good, man.
Just keep winking at people, make them feel real weird.
Yeah.
No, that's not a wink. No, now you're just being embarrassed.
Now you're-
Well, I'm trying to do it with that eye, but I can't even
You
come
are.
close.
Greg's right. You're embarrassing
Control
yourself.
it. Control your
can't.
body.
All right.
How
have
did you
control of
get
your
into
body.
touch with your body like that, though? I really.
Hours in the darkness. I used to just sit in a closet. I'm not even kidding. I just sit in a closet, no lights, with the coats on my head, and I can feel nothing but my body. And then you control your body through the darkness. Your body becomes the closet. Then I would feel the coats. I'm not even connected to them.
You're like Bane.
A lot like Bane, but more because my brother would. I would go in the closet. And he would sit against.
That's what I
me.
think it was. I think
You'd
I had
sit
too much
against it.
stimulus. I had a bunch of toys and stuff like that, so I think I never even like ventured into that.
Now, one training method that I did do, and I have none of these bodily skills of you, but I used to. My first job, I was a busboy and a dishwasher,
Mhm.
and I was very impressed by the chef's ability to touch hot things. Very,
Oh, yeah.
very impressed. Because you know, a chef, they've been in the kitchen their whole
Yeah.
life. They can grab something that a normal person it would burn. You know, they're not. I wouldn't call it a superhuman skill, but it's close.
It's callous.
They've-
You callous up their hands.
Basically they callous their hands. So I was very jealous of this. So when no one was back there in the back, I would put my hands into there was a almost boiling thing of water where they would the silverware would be soaking before it was washed. They'd throw silverware in there to get whatever off or whatever, and it was almost boiling. So I would just put my hands in there and challenge myself to take it for as long as I could.
Pain
Severely,
challenge.
well, not so much a pain challenge. In my mind, it was do it. You'll build up a tolerance
Yeah.
and eventually get to these guys' level. Severely burned my hands.
Of course.
Yeah, severely. It wasn't good.
Yeah, that's dangerous. But good that you did that. I had a karate teacher who would take a bottle and a stick, and he'd make us hit our shins with it as to break the things in our shins. I did it for 5 minutes. I said, I'm not enjoying this. And
Wait,
Wait, what?
He a real
Was
psycho.
this an accredited karate teacher or just a guy on the street?
Crazy thing? We went to this karate class taught by Todd and John. Todd worked at the Home Depot. John worked at the bowling alley, and their karate was just like, "Come at me, and then we're gonna see what happens."
I like the
And
idea.
he'd just like chop you in the neck. It's like, this isn't a move. He'd be throwing broken glass at like real crazy bastards. But yeah, our first white belts. John, not the teacher, just the guy who works at the bowling alley, and hung out with our karate teacher. Has a bow staff, and he says, "I like it when everyone attacks me. Everyone attack me." And we all attacked him, and he was swinging a stick around his head. We're punching each other. I think my friend kicks him in the balls. He goes, "Ooh, good one," and then like punches a 6-year-old in his face. We were like so young, and they'd really just beat the shit out of us.
So
We paid $100 a month for one class a week, but we were there every single day after school, and no one gave a shit. No bills got paid. He had one class. It was us 8 students. We were there every day. Oh my God.
Would you guys enter tournaments, and just get disqualified?
No, but I will tell you what happened. There was I don't think this was accredited. I think this was just a guy who bought a bunch of karate uniforms and was teaching us street fighting.
That's so funny.
What did happen? What?
That if he came across all these karate uniforms, he was like, "Well, I gotta do something with them."
Yeah.
which in hindsight, he was probably just like 17 years old.
Right.
Just like how old were John and Todd? They were probably just dudes that were like, I'm gonna be a karate teacher.
It's hard to say. I mean, to me, he was 50.
Right.
But he was probably like 30, maybe 25,
Yeah.
26. John was young. Todd was a little bit older. He had a little salt and pepper in his hair. So he might have been however old you are right now.
Right.
Because he was probably at this. He drove a Fiero. We didn't enter karate tournaments, but I tell you what we did enter sometimes because we live like near Newark. So like these shit'ems, these scumbags would walk by, and one of them just looks in the class. He's like, "Man, I'll fuck all you up." So then the karate teachers are like, "Yeah, come on in." And then we would just fight kids off the street
Just
in the
strangers.
karate class. Yeah,
Man.
we put on this gear. He put on gear on both of them, and he was like, "All right, do like you did after me. Fight this guy."
So
then
funny.
we'd then my friend Pedro fought some kid in a karate match, and he beat the kid. No one saw this
So
coming,
funny.
and it was that's what the hell happened. It was nuts. We a lot of crazy stories with that kid.
That's great. I will say I'm not sure that's what you call a karate match when it's one guy who just walked in off the street and another guy who's been trained by two fellas that don't really know karate. I think that's just kid fighting is what you witnessed.
Yeah, we were like a little fight club, I think.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I love this is John and Todd said that to build up your shin tolerance,
John said this.
you hit your shin with a stick in a bottle.
Well, he had a Snapple bottle, and he would smash his shins with the Snapple bottle to kill the nerves, so that if someone kicked you in the shins, it wouldn't hurt. I have complete feeling of all of my shins still to this day, so I don't know what that gag was.
I think that's actually like a 1,000-year-old Chinese Wu-Tang technique, the Snapple bottle on the shin.
Also, this guy was a bouncer at a bowling alley. Or he worked at a bowling alley and would just beat up bowlers. Like I got a big hole in my crotch. How are you looking at?
No, I was looking at the thing.
Oh, big hole in my crotch right now.
That's fine. That happens.
Yeah.
So let's bring this full circle. How this winking conversation came up is, Greg, you were concerned of some of the things said. If you didn't catch last week's episode 7, give it a listen. Greg got real drunk for his birthday episode, and then Anthony went in a drawer. You ended up talking about a vibrating cock ring, and you're concerned about that.
I am concerned about maybe we just do a little bit of editing. Maybe just edit out. You guys are very good at not saying things that you don't want to talk about. I just talk about everything, and then I'll get myself in trouble. I can't be talking about something. This is my family. My uncle wanted to listen to the podcast. I talked about a cock ring on the last thing. About a cock ring, you wear it to make you not pee. Like that was weird. I can't.
First of all, I thought it was fantastic, but I understand where you're coming from. Let me put this out there, though, and Anthony, tell me if you agree. There was no stopping you. You were drunk, man. You were real drunk. For those of you listening, we weren't. First of all, Greg held himself together amazingly for how much vodka he drank. The vodka, he had a big bottle of Svedka vodka. It went through the course of the. It's one of those wide bottles. It went down 7 inches through the course of the podcast. Then I've never seen anything like this because we know he wasn't faking. I saw him drink the vodka. I've never seen anything like this. We were going out after we recorded the podcast. Greg, just the drunkest man alive, goes into the bathroom, takes a shower, and comes out stone cold sober.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I felt that too. I was like, how am I okay? It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's weird too because if you listen to the podcast and you brought it up, you do go through like all the stages of being drunk in like an hour's time, and then you just came out of the shower. You weren't even like hungover or anything. You were just fresh as a
What
daisy,
were you
ready
that
to
night?
go.
Was I drunk where we went? Where did we do that?
No, I
night?
think we just did like shows or something.
You guys went to some open mics. I had
Oh,
to go
that's
home.
maybe what it
Oh
was. Okay.
God, no, those were terrible. Yeah, we went to. Oh yeah, nothing got done. We spent 6 hours trying to do shows and we didn't even get on stage.
Was it
It
that
just a
night? Oh, we
throwaway
did late
day.
night at the end.
So this is something
fun.
we don't talk about very often. We allude to it. The three of us are comedians in New York City. There's plenty of podcasts out there if you just want comedians talking about comedy. You can get that a million different places. We don't really do that, but we're gonna do a little of it today because we have some fun topics we want to talk about. I want to talk about worst shows of all time.
Mm-hmm.
The worst shows you guys have ever done. Because every comedian's got their stories
Yeah.
of the shit, the worst ones you have to do. Do you want me to start? You guys want to start? How should we do this?
Now I know I have one that I
Mhm.
think you're leading to, but I have another one that is a short one that I can tell you the worst audition I ever had.
Okay.
I had to go to you. I don't know if I ever told you guys this one. I don't even know if it's that great, but it really pissed me off. When I first started doing comedy, it was about like a year or two in. I was in Jersey, and I had to go to this club in South Jersey to audition.
Uncle Vinny's.
Yeah, I
right?
didn't want to say the name
Oh.
because I was hoping maybe to get work there, but they don't listen to this anyway. Yeah, so I go to this place, Uncle Vinny's, and I was like, I'd like to audition for your club. And the guy goes, all right, drive down. I'll put you on this show. So I drive down, an hour and a half drive, right? I go into the club. No, I drive with my brother. No one is there. So it's like, oh, this show's canceled. There's me and the only person here is the headliner. There's no one in the crowd. Sucks I drove an hour and a half to get here, but what are you going to do? And the guy goes, no, you're still going to audition. We'll still do the show. Just go perform. There's no one there.
Literally no one.
No, one person, my brother. So he's like, go on stage. So I'm like, I have to do my material for my brother, which I know that people, if you're not a comic, you might not understand. Like, the bits are like the rehearsed, they're in your head. Like doing a bit for somebody is weird because you're not
Somebody who knows you.
really,
Yeah.
you're not really talking to people. You're kind of rehearsing.
Right.
You're to an extent you can, but like when you're doing your material, you are essentially doing an act.
It's a performance.
Yeah. So to do an act to the person who knows me better than anyone else on the planet, to like pretend to talk to someone like, hey, I just got back from Paris, and he's like, no, you didn't. I live in the same houses with you. And it's like, well, I think French people are weird. No, I mean, they're not that weird, Greg. What are you talking about? Like, it's very weird to try to do this. So I perform for my brother. It's very awkward. He's trying to play along. I get off, and then he was like, I got to be honest. I don't think you did so great with the crowd. Which was my brother.
Yeah.
And then I'm still pissed off, so I'm like, whatever, let's just go. We walk out the door, and as we're leaving, he makes the headliner still perform to nobody. He paid the headliner to come down, so he just made this guy who did like a puppet show to nobody. Because me and my brother left. So
That's
it was like,
bizarre.
that's not the worst I've ever had, but it was just like, it was so weird.
No, that's yeah.
Well, even if it's not your brother, performing to one person, it's not stand up because
Yeah.
the whole stand up relies on reaction
Mhm.
and a crowd, or at least a fucking
Yes.
little crowd.
It's a
At
conversation.
least more than one person.
One person, it's a conversation where they don't get to talk and
Right.
you have a microphone. It's just a rude conversation.
Right, because that's the reason why when you're just in a conversation and someone says, "Tell me one of your stand-up jokes," you're like, "Well, it's not going to work."
Yeah, it's going to be
Because
very weird.
it's going to be weird because it relies on that. That's bizarre. I have a short one like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
before we get into the real hell gigs. kind of like you don't know anything early on. You know, when I started in Cleveland, I had a friend in a band who goes, "Oh, you know what? Like this will be great. You're doing stand up now." He's in like a punk band, so it's intense. He goes,
"Oh man,
here's the thing. We got to change over at the intermission. Another band's coming on. It'll be great. You do stand up in between bands." So for those of you that don't know, like comedy occasionally can work with bands, but it's got to be before the bands. Like some touring bands will have a stand up open for them, and it kind of works. A lot of times they get booed off stage, but it can work. But you can't go after the band's gone up. You can't go up. And I'm new. I got no chops. I don't know how to deal with a fucking crowd, like a standing punk show crowd that's just been moshing.
Yeah,
you know. So so the band ends. You know, everyone's ears are just ringing, and this guy goes, "And now we got a comedian, Brendan." That's it.
Brendan.
That's it.
It's just some friend of ours, Brendan.
Yeah.
I love that. Who'd you go see
No
the other
last
night?
name.
Oh, we saw Brendan.
Like you're like a black
You should
comic
check him
named
out.
Pazuzi or something.
Yeah.
Brendan.
Yeah.
There's a million Brendans.
You gotta see Brendan.
Yeah.
So I go up, and I'm so new. I don't know, like, all right, I don't know what I know now, which is if there's any hope of that working, you got to somehow match the energy that just came off or do something to get them in the mindset of I'm going to be talking and telling jokes. I didn't know that. Like in my mind, I don't have there's no tools in my toolbox. All I got is these jokes that I've written, and I'm going to say them. So I get up there, right into a fucking joke, immediately into a joke.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, and back then I was doing one-liners, you know? So I go, start my first joke, what jokes was I doing back then? I was doing one-liners that weren't even true. I was doing like one of my jokes was like I asked my mom which kid she loved the most, and she said, "Brendan, that's not a fair question," which I thought was weird because I don't have any brothers or sisters. You know, I was doing shit like that, like fucking one-liners. So I go into my first joke, and some big jack guy with no sleeves on just goes, "Shut the fuck up!" No, nice heckle. Just told me to shut the fuck up, and it was just like I didn't know what to do, so I just kept doing my jokes. I couldn't address it. I didn't have the ability or skills
and
or
these
anything.
Dudes fight people usually.
Yeah,
they're fighters.
I have
You
no,
fight these people.
and not only that, I don't know how to address it. I can't tear him down. I don't know because I'll just get mad. I don't have any skills, so I just do my whole set. I do like 12 minutes just getting screamed at. Screamed at. Don't stop. I don't acknowledge anything. I just get screamed at the whole time, brutally.
Yep. I have a similar situation. I was performing. The guy's like, "Hey, come down perform at my comedy club." Well, he says, "Come perform at my club." I think he's saying comedy club. Oh, it's a comedy club. This is gonna be great. I'm new. Let's go. Get to the place. Not a comedy club. It's a strip club. So I'm like, I'm like, I don't know any better. I'm like, it's stage people. They're gonna love to hear me.
Yeah.
Guy says, "I'll give you $30." You know, he's like, we're gonna have the comedy show. And one of the guys goes, "But are the strippers here tonight?" And the guy was like, "It doesn't matter. You know, whatever. We're doing the comedy show."
Doesn't matter.
We walk in the room. The strippers are stripping. DJ gets on and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, say goodbye to the lovely ladies. We're going to start the comedy show." So people who came to the strip club to see naked women now had to sit through 3 comics who were not very good. So we get on stage. The host goes up, just gets yelled at. The guy who's doing the show goes, "If you want your $30, you better do your time. You don't get off early like this guy does." So I have to do 20 minutes. I literally have 5 minutes of material at this point in my life. I have 5 minutes tops. I get on stage. As soon as I get on stage, "How you guys doing?" Guy goes, "Fuck you," throws a water bottle at me, and then people just start yelling at me the whole time. So I'm literally just running around the stage, and I'm looking at the booker, and he's like giving me that thing like, "You don't get off until you have you do whatever."
Right.
I maybe did 10 minutes. I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I get off stage. Some biker guy comes up to me, and he goes, yeah, if we had to watch any more of this, we were going to start fucking kicking the shit out of people. And we were like, yeah, all right. Maybe we should have not had this happen. So then the headliner went up, and he did like 6.
Yeah.
Just they don't expect comedy. You can't bombard people with that.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I don't think crowds know sometimes. It's that it's not, as comedians, we didn't decide to have the show. You know what I mean? Somebody asks us to do the show. Blame the fucking guy who decided to have comedy night at the strip club. Like, we're just trying to be comedians, and someone asks us to do a show, and we're trying to make it, so we'll do any fucking show for any money.
Right.
And people get mad, and it's like, look, man, like, I agree. You think I want to do comedy here?
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. The one, I mean, that was like the show I did, maybe it was like a month ago, where it was an ambush show at a bar, and there was some kind of a deaf meetup group that night.
Well, first of all, what's an ambush show if people don't know?
An ambush show is where if you're at a bar or a restaurant and there's an amp, someone grabs a microphone, the person running the show, and they go, okay, we're going to start the comedy show now. You didn't know it was going to happen.
Okay.
You're just going out for a night.
Yeah.
So show starts happening, and it's 60% of the people in this bar are deaf, and they're talking, they're signing with each other, and that's fine. But they don't know that a show's going on, and then some of them are making noise.
Right.
So they don't. I mean, you can visually see that someone's on a microphone, but they don't know what that might be. So then they're. Do you know what I mean? Like,
could be anything as far as they're concerned.
I mean, I know
could
that's
be
weird,
anything,
and I guess somebody could tap them on the shoulder and go, "Oh, hey, it's comedy." But like, I don't know that they knew that.
Why would they even do that? Hey, look what you're missing.
What's up?
Why would somebody tap on their shoulder and be like, hey, it's comedy, just in case you were wondering what's happening? It doesn't matter. We're not
I don't know.
for nothing.
Hey, look, it's an art form you can never enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like almost cruel to be
Yeah.
doing this because it's like look at all these ear people.
Yeah.
This is something they enjoy. You don't know a fucking thing about this, Steffi, and now you're rubbing it, jamming it down their throat, kind of. So the host doesn't address it, which is probably the better move. But they're making noise throughout her set, and I'm like, and I know myself, and I tend to be pretty, I guess like a squirrel. I'm pretty active up there if I hear something or whatever. So I'm like, I know I'm gonna say something, it's gonna go bad, but I'm gonna have to. So I go up there. The minute I start, there's just noise. They're making noise, and there's no training for that. There's no training for how do you handle a heckler who's also deaf. So I don't know. I tried to get their attention, and I tried to sign to them what was happening.
Oh, because you know sign language.
I don't.
Exactly.
But I tried the general things. You know what I mean? And I tried to, because a lot of deaf people can read lips. So I tried to get them to sort of pay attention
to your lips.
Read what I'm saying, and then I tried to bring one of them up to sign that it's a comedy show, and if they could just lower their voices. And I really think they thought I was just trying to be diplomatic, and then they didn't take it that way, and then half of them gave me the finger, and then the rest of the crowd totally turned on me.
Why was there comedy happening?
It's just one of those shows that you do so many of those as a comic. I mean, we all have done
no
those.
one does shows for deaf people.
No, there weren't specifically for them. There was an audience.
They just showed up?
They showed up. There was an audience, and they were a good audience. But the deaf people were making so much noise that it was drowning out the comics, and you kind of needed you needed to say something about it, but there was no way of doing that didn't make you look like a jerk. Yeah, and that's what it was.
Because they don't know how much noise they're making. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
They can't judge.
Don't know.
They don't know.
It's not their fault.
No, it's not.
But they have to
It's
stop.
possible they were just rude at deaf people. It's very possible.
That's possible as well,
because
I did try to do. I felt like it was in a pretty nice way. I really wasn't trying to be a jerk at all. Because you could have. That's such an easy joke to make. You know what I mean? But I didn't do that. I really tried to. I guess. Have the situation go smooth, but
that's the thing. Same thing again. Like, it comes down to it. Like, it's the person who runs that show, that's their fault.
Right.
It's not the deaf people. They're allowed to be wherever they want to
Right.
be. It's not the comedians. It's like somebody's got to be like, okay, everyone here is deaf. We can't have a comedy show.
Right.
Yeah,
This
we're gonna
is-
pull it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much money were you making on that show?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
probably nothing.
I think I got a slider.
Yeah, exactly. Most of these shows are like this. They're for free anyway.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. I'd rather. I mean, it's like fun to have that story, but in the moment, I'd rather not be a villain to a bunch of people who have disability.
Yeah.
Like, I'd much rather not have that emotion in that second. But it's a fun story to tell, but I could live without it.
Here's a story, and then I think Greg's probably got one of the best all-time stories. We'll get into that, but you guys, I believe, have done this show. This is a different night because I did this show with you one time, but I believe this was a different night. I don't think you were there when I did this. So I go out to do a show in Far Rockaway, which is like
Oh yeah.
it's 65 miles. I don't know. It's in Queen. Is it in Queens? It's like Queens or Long Island, but you ride the train
Yeah.
for 25 hours. And we go out there, and it's a Thai restaurant. A show at a
Yeah.
Thai
Oh yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Just the sweetest
remember that
girl in the
show.
world
She's great.
runs it.
Yeah.
And it
Kayla.
was actually the night the three of us did it together. I believe it was fun. I think I remember having fun. You hosted that time.
Yeah,
we did
that
it
was
together.
a really fun
We
Was
had
that
a
there?
great show.
Yeah,
you were on it.
there.
It was a great show.
Yeah.
This time, so I go out to do it a second time,
Uh-huh.
and it's on the deck. It's
Mhm.
not on.
Oh, it wasn't inside.
It wasn't inside.
Okay.
It's on the deck, which, first of all, it's hard to do comedy
Outside,
outside.
yeah.
It sounds weird, I know, if you're not a comedian listening, but comedy has such to do with atmosphere. Like, laughs breed laughs. So you want a nice low ceiling. You want that laughter reverberating. It gets weird outside a lot of the time. Second of all, it's fucking on the it's in the flight path of JFK. So there's a plane coming over every 2 minutes. Third of all, the guy double booked. And there's a band.
Of course.
There's a band outside on the deck, a bit like a Jimmy Buffett cover band that these people are fucking loving. Like, loving. They're just playing some island jams for
Yeah.
these
Sure, and it's a
people.
great environment for that. It's that outside water. It's a perfect place to have a
Perfect
Jimmy
environment. Yeah, it's
Buffett.
on the water.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
People
the people
are
that live
loving it.
around there are that kind of
Yeah.
community people.
They're loving it.
Yeah.
So the owner, he's double booked. He does, the smart thing. He cancels the comedy show. No, he doesn't. He tells, he goes, shit, I double booked it. Here's what we're gonna do. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna make the band stop. These people are loving it. He makes the band stop.
Ugh.
The band that everyone's loving,
And again, they think it's
everyone
your fault.
wants.
Yeah.
He makes the band stop and goes, we're going to have a comedy show. The band will start up again after. The band doesn't go anywhere. They just sit there disgruntled. Out comes the host.
Dog
The
face?
host, you know it
Oh,
because you've
we
been there
had
before.
Another encounter.
The host is a cross-dresser, nice kid.
No, I threatened to beat the shit out of him.
He's a cross-dresser, ladies and gentlemen, whose his whole sort of cross-dressing bit is he's not just a cross-dresser. He's not just a guy who dresses up like a girl. He's a guy who dresses up like a girl dog.
Yeah.
So he puts on a dog face mask and wears a dress. And, like, I think in his mind, he thinks, like, you run into guys like this from time to time in comedy who think that all you need to be a comedian is a funny gag.
Yeah, like a
So he's
dog
got no
face.
jokes. He thinks that's his bit, that he'll
Right.
just talk
Yeah.
because he's dressed up like a woman with a dog face mask
so
on.
funny to keep removing yourself
Yeah.
from what you are. In
Yeah.
a sense,
It's
you know what I
so easy.
mean?
I'll
To be
just-
like, well, I'm a man who's a cross-dresser, and that's fine. And then I'm also a cross-dresser who's a dog. Like, I just think it'd be so funny if you just kept layering and layering more
Yeah.
things. If you just got to the end where it's like, yeah, who's a banana that talks Spanish?
And
Like-
so this guy, dog face guy, he isn't whatever. He starts hosting the show, and every time he sort of gets to something that might sort of be a punchline, the band who's still there, the drummer does a rim shot,
Ugh.
and everyone on the deck
Yeah.
boos. every time.
Oh my god.
And it became like this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And then they bring me up.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then they bring me up.
What
And
a
I
chance.
actually did okay just from totally getting on the crowd. Like by then I had enough experience under my belt to like understand the situation
Right.
and just totally took the crowd's side and was kind of like, what?
Right.
That band was great. Like, what are they? They're
Yeah.
the guy's just ruining your night. Like,
right.
go ahead and spit in my pad thai while you're at it. Like,
It's so
Well-
bad. And for those people, they're like, "Oh, that's what comedy is. Comedy is a villain.
right,
It
Yeah.
comes in and ruins your time.
right.
It
takes your
tr-
strippers away.
Yeah.
It takes your band away.
yeah, you just know it as a bad. If it was a person, it's a bad person. You know,
That actually concerns me about New York comedy is that
Right.
some of these independent shows I feel like sour people on stand-up
Yeah.
because they get ambushed. They're trying to eat dinner and talk to their friend,
And
and all of a sudden it's like, here's a comedy show with
Right.
12 fucking people who started yesterday.
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you're going out to eat with whoever or yourself, whatever, and you're like, "This, I'm gonna go out to eat. That's gonna be my night," and then a person just repeatedly comes in and ruins that time, you'd be like,
Yeah, and
"That
tries to
person
crowd work you.
sucks." Yeah, yeah,
Tries to be like, hey, why are you not laughing?
yeah.
Oh, because I'm trying to enjoy my tilapia.
Yeah. And then you'd be like, "Yeah, I know comedy. Comedy is a piece of shit."
Yeah,
you
well, let
know?
me tag something on here. This is
Yeah.
a great story. We've got the dog face person. Me and Anthony go to do this show. We drive out an hour to get to this place.
Same show with the
No,
dog.
No, it was like a
place-
fundraiser.
It was like a theater type thing.
Yeah.
So
They
I
had
go
so
on.
many
I
acts.
But
think
the dog face is there?
Dogface is
hosted it.
hosting it. So now I understand that behind the Dogface is like a curtain where the light is shining on the curtain from the back, so you can see shadows.
Right.
So imagine how that would work. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go on. I think I get off. I'm not really sure what happens. But then Anthony goes on, and he's trying to do his material. But Dogface keeps going behind him, doing like dick symbols and like hump things,
Oh.
and
And-
taking away from. And the crowd was even on Anthony's side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But
were
you-
like, "What?
Yeah. Keep going.
No, like they were like, what?" Like, and then he was like, just stopping over his jokes. He's having a hard time.
That's what it was.
So I walked over to the back, and I'm like, "Hey, you got to stop doing that. Stop. We came out here for you. Stop." And she was like, "He or it, whatever."
The dog.
The
Yeah.
dog
The
was
dog.
like, "I'm being funny," and I was like, we came out here to help your fundraiser. You're not paying us. We did this
Yeah.
to help you stop, right?" So then she keeps going, blah 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 blah. I forgot how it gets to the next level.
I think I just kind of because I realized that was happening, and then
Yeah.
I got frustrated, and I was like, "Fuck this! Like, I'm out of here. See you later." Because it was going well, and they were laughing at the
I
right
remember how this
parts.
goes down now.
I was laughing. They were laughing at the right parts, and I was like, "This is a good set. This is fine."
Yeah.
And then they started laughing at other parts, and I was like, "I don't know why that's happening." Like,
Yeah.
And then you kept pointing to like
Yeah, like turn around.
turn around, and then I think at one point I might have saw that and been like, "Oh, that's what this is." Like,
Yeah.
fuck this, fuck you.
I'm going home.
I'm going home.
So I remember. So then we get in the car, and I'm still mad. You know my
Oh, that
temper.
was
I'm
hilarious.
so mad that I'm
At
like,
this point, we had left.
yeah,
were in
we
the
had
car.
left. I was like, "Fuck this! Stop the car." I said to myself, if I was driving, I get out of the car, go back to that lady, and I was like,
And
I'd already
another
yelled
thing.
at her. I already yelled at her. So they have a security guard.
Who was just an old guy.
Who's just an old
He was
guy
just an
standing
old
in
guy.
front of me, so I can't get
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
room. And I was like, I got to go talk to her or him. And he was like, no. And I was like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep me from getting back there? And the guy was like, all right, but be nice. So I walked past the security guard, and I was like, I just want you to know that what you did was wrong, and blah 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 blah, and this and that. And he was like, well, I was blah 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 blah. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what if I escalate to this point of complete rage where I just said, you're a fucking man. I will beat the shit out of you like a man. Everyone
You
gets
just said,
weird.
I'll beat the shit out of you like a dog.
Yeah. I just lose my mind. I'm furious with this person because he keeps getting in my face. Everything gets weird. Everyone in the back is like, whoa, that escalated.
Yeah, because it was loud.
Because
Yeah.
I'm a fury. I get really crazy sometimes.
But no, you're totally in the right there.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse, and it happens very occasionally.
yeah,
and
but I was
it'll
never
happen.
booked on that show again.
It happen. It happens with people who are sort of on the outskirts of comedy who aren't really doing it for real.
Yeah.
Where you get heckled or bothered from another comedian, and there's nothing worse than that. Like that's the most fucked up thing. Like the most disrespectful thing, because you know how hard this is.
Yeah.
Like you know more than anything how brutal this can be. That's what makes me mad. And it's very rare because anyone who's done it for any amount of time knows like don't ever do that.
Right.
Ever.
But
like it does happen, and it's when it happens. It's
like
the worst.
Yeah, you're just like you just made an enemy for life.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst thing you can do.
Oh yeah, I get like a real hot.
Yeah.
Happens. On a funner note, I could tell you about one of the first times I ever performed. I don't know if it was. I have a hard time with the timeline. It was new enough that I hadn't yet built the internal clock, which allows you to know how much time you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was used to doing like shitty shows or whatever. I go to do this show. It's a bringer show at Stand Up New York. So it's a bringer show so you have to bring all your friends. All my friends are there. I wrote down on a list everything.
So, sorry to interrupt. Just explain a little more. Just because explain a little more what the bringer. The bringer.
Oh yeah,
is.
I mean it doesn't matter for the story really.
Right.
But a bringer show is you bring your friends and they allow you to perform.
Right. You need to bring a set amount of friends, like 8
you bring
friends, 10 friends. You get your time.
Yeah, because when I started, like you don't have to be funny. You just have to bring people to the show.
Right.
So I write down every single thing on a piece of paper that I ever thought was funny. I must have had 44 different topics to talk about for a 10-minute spot. So imagine if each idea was the shortest 1 minute, that's still 44 minutes of material. So my dad was a comedian before me. So my dad he's like, "Oh, are you excited for the show? Remember, man, comedy is its own beast. You know, you never know what's going to happen. Anything could go wrong, and you have to adjust." So I'm going in my mentality, like, yeah, I'm ready to be a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, I go on stage. I'm at about the fourth note I have on my piece before fourth topic to talk about. The light, they shine the light, so I get off. I do not see the light, so that means I had went over my 10-minute mark.
Yeah.
I just keep going. At about 15 minutes, they turn my microphone off, at which case my brain says, "This is it. Anything can go wrong. The microphone's broke. You gotta go no mic." So I take the microphone off, move it to the side. Now I'm performing like it's a one-man show to 40 people who all know what happened. I keep going. At about 17 minutes, they turn the music on. They just turn music on in the club. And I, again, go, man, this sound system must really be fucked.
Right.
Now I got to deal with this? Well, I got some dance moves. So I dance to the music. Now I'm dancing on stage, yelling at the crowd. The guy running the show has no idea how to get me off stage. So he turns all the lights off in the entire club. Just turns everything off. He runs on stage, grabs me by the collar, and he's like, "The hell is wrong with you? You did 25 minutes. I have no idea. I was so excited. I had no idea."
Yeah.
Pulls me off. And he's like, "You can't do this much time. This isn't your half-hour special." Oh, God. The entire crowd was like, my friends were like, "Dude, you didn't know?" Like, that was kind of arrogant of you to just do that much time. But I just had no idea. Burn the light. And I was like, I can't do this ever again. Didn't do comedy for 2 years.
Dude, the idea that in your head all of these things kept happening and you kept going,
yeah,
anything can happen.
You gotta keep.
This is comedy, baby.
Yeah. Because in
in the heat of it,
in your head, you're like, I'm not gonna look like an unprofessional. You know what I mean? But you're doing that.
Oh,
that's so funny.
And like all these things would happen, or something that would happen, like, oh, a microphone breaks. That'll probably happen after a year of doing comedy. Music goes on. That probably it was like my second show.
Right.
In my head, it was like, this is what goes down every time.
Yeah.
Things you have to be.
Yeah,
able
I don't
want to
look
the punches
like a noob.
Yeah.
Not know how to handle this.
Oh my
You know
God.
what's funny too is that like you couldn't have been the last person on that show.
No,
So
I was like
somebody
the third.
a bunch of people had to follow that.
Yeah.
Which is great.
There was like 8 people. And then I have to follow this up. I've told the site the same when I made my comeback to comedy.
Your comeback.
My comeback, Stand Up New York, same club. The host goes, he's like very excited. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, you never believe who's here. Keep it going. Jerry Seinfeld is here.
Oh, nice. And
So-
you're just in the audience?
No, I went up right before Seinfeld.
Oh, wow.
So I went up. I get off stage. Seinfeld comes on. He does his thing. Now there was only about 8 people in the crowd because I had to bring 8 people to that show, and they were all my friends. And I had just seen Brian Regan, and Brian Regan does this thing at the end of his set where he goes, does anybody want to hear any material that you like? Because he'll have people screaming out their favorite jokes.
Right.
So what he'll do like your favorite joke for you so he can kind of get through it.
Yeah.
So at the end of Seinfeld's act, what I didn't know is that he develops his material sometimes by saying, does anybody have any questions for me? So then you ask a question, and then he'll be like, hey, why is Google a thing? And he'll be like, what's up with Google?
Right,
And then he'll develop a joke about Google.
Right.
So he says, does anybody have any questions for me? I think he's doing the material thing. So I yell, Jerry, what's up with people who ride the bus? Thinking that's a Seinfeld joke.
That's what's the best part.
I don't
to this
think-
day I don't think it's a Seinfeld joke.
No, it's just I think how you make fun of Seinfeld.
Right.
I think that's just
Right.
a classic way to
Right.
rip
But
on
you
Seinfeld.
weren't thinking that. You were thinking
Yeah.
it was a
No.
bit. Yeah.
But he responds with, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Weren't you just the comedian up here talking about nothing? To which my brother responds, because he's in the crowd, didn't you have a show based on nothing, which infuriates Seinfeld? He gets off stage, walks towards me, and I'm trying to be like, look, I wasn't trying to heckle. I'm so sorry.
Right.
He just
You just didn't
blows.
know.
He just was like, what? I mean, he really tore into me, and I was really just being like, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't heckling. I
Yeah.
thought you were asking for the bits. Totally ignores me, but then comes to the doorway where my brother is standing, and my brother just blocks him in the. He just kind of blocks him in the store and looks at me and goes, "Hey, Greg, you want to fuck up Jerry Seinfeld?" And and he just walked by. He didn't, and I was like, my brother's like very tall. He's intimidating. I don't know that Seinfeld heard that. Thank God, because I was like, he'll ban me from comedy. I don't know what
Right.
happened. I told Joe, I was like, no, what are you doing? And he was like, fuck that, man. You're my little brother. I'll protect you. I'm like, yeah, against what, like a 50-year-old Jewish comedian? Like, it could lead me in more trouble.
So funny.
So then after that all happens. I'm embarrassed. I was still starting golf comedy. My friend goes, I want to write an article about you to help with your comedy.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. So with the opening sentence in the article she wrote was, he is Jerry Seinfeld's opener.
Oh,
And I
she was
like-
at that show.
Well, she knew that the
Right.
show had happened. I think she was at the show,
Yeah.
and I was like, "You can't put this." It was on the internet, so you got to take it down. And she was like, "Well, it's up and whatever." So that is So I was like, "Well, I can't have this, so I'll just change my name."
And that's why
And
you took
that is
Stone.
why I am Greg Stone, as opposed to Greg Corluzzo, because I was convinced that if Seinfeld found out about this, I'd be banned from comedy.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh,
Now,
my
and the
God.
truth is, like, there are very, very few people, if anyone really, that could actually ban someone from comedy.
Yeah.
But Jerry Seinfeld could do as close as anyone. You know what I mean? Like, for
Yeah.
most people saying that, it'd be like, what are you talking about? You can't ban someone from comedy. If Jerry Seinfeld really wanted to blackball someone, he could do it.
If
Now
he-
he's a
yeah.
nice guy; he wouldn't do it. Which I do have to say, because we've talked. I was worried a couple episodes ago. I was
I think we
talking
talked about like a bit he did
a
on
little
the Tonight Show or
negatively
something.
about what he's doing lately. And let me just be clear, set the record straight. He is an idol of mine. I love Seinfeld. I grew up on the Seinfeld show.
Sure.
I mean, he's a legend. I was just kind of more talking about how guys, you get to a certain level and you can coast on your reputation. But
He could have called any club and been like, "Greg don't book this comic."
yeah,
I mean, they weren't booking me anyway, but
boy, that's funny.
Yeah. So I started using Stone, which is my mom's name. Also because I was working at a hospital and I didn't want them looking at my comedy because my comedy was all like, look at my dick. So
Yeah. I need a stage name, man. Nobody can pronounce my last name.
yeah, just
Well, your
change it
last
to
name's
Eyre,
easy.
A-I-R.
Eyre.
Yeah, I know it's easy, but it's spelled E-Y-R-E. I should change it to
people-
A-I-R.
No, man.
I
Yeah.
think so. That's how it's
Keep it
spelled
the
on
way
my phone.
I thought if I ever wanted to have a pun as an album title, my first album's going to be called Polluted Air.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Man, I enjoyed this. I know you guys don't like to talk about the podcast during the podcast, but I thought today was fun.
Yeah, it was different from what we usually do. I'm a little more low. I felt a little low key.
I think we're all kind of in the same mood.
Uh,
You know,
yeah,
which
I
is
like
nice.
that we would do that though. I like that we would kind of. Some days we're just gonna. Tell
You know,
some
if you listen to
stories
an
on
album,
the
you know, not
campfire.
every track could be aggressive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you might want one that's like more soft.
Now,
Easier to
real
listen
quick, before we go, I know we don't normally have guests on this show,
Mm.
but a very good friend of mine, I just happened to run into him today, and I thought we'd have him on the podcast for a little bit. Tough James is here.
Oh, Tough James. How do you know him?
Where is he here? Are you letting him in?
Hey, I'm Tough
Here we
James.
go.
Oh, oh, you're Tough James. You're
Hey.
Brendan's friend.
Yeah.
Cool,
Hey,
man.
Tough James.
hey, TJ, what's cooking?
What's this podcast all about? 'Cause Tough James don't like it.
What?
I just keep thinking, am I
It's-
gonna let this?
Mainly, it's just Brendan. I guess you know. How do you know Brendan? By the way.
Oh, he used to come by the garbage can factory where I was born.
Oh, the garbage can factory where you were born. Where was that? I guess that's in Cleveland.
I don't know where it was, 'cause I never went outside from the garbage can factory till I was 24. That's how I got so tough.
How? Wait, what? How does that make sense?
How do you make sense? You think you grow up in a garbage can factory, you're not gonna be tough? I'm
Well,
tough.
I don't know. Well,
James.
I mean, it would depend on what you would do in the garbage can factory. What did you do that? How you got so tough?
I had a job. My main job at the garbage can factory was at the nighttime. I'd sweep up all the floors.
That's what made you tough.
Yeah, my hands got real tough.
You would sweep up the floors with your hands. You wouldn't use a broom or anything.
No, I had a broom, but the wood of the broom handle sometimes would get splintery and whatnot. So my hands got real tough.
So then, how did you meet Brendan?
He came by the garbage can factory one day 'cause they do tours, and he said, and they were doing a tour, and he said, "Oh, who's that?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Tough James." And he said, "Have you ever been outside, Tough James?" And I said, "I've never been outside, and I never want to go."
So then Brendan took you outside. I'm guessing.
No,
Okay, so then how did you eventually go outside? That seems like a big step.
I just 2 days ago was the first time I ever went outside.
Oh wow.
Because the garbage can factory closed down. So I got on a bus and I came to New York City to find the only person I ever knew, Brendan.
So were you?
You took a bus.
Yeah.
Where did you get the money for the bus?
Well, when I worked at sweeping the garbage can factory, sometimes I'd find little knickknacks or whatnot on the floor, sometimes I'd find a used postage stamp or a picture from a dirty magazine or whatnot, and I would make art projects out of them. I'd make collages, and I sold them.
And that's where you got your butt. But they weren't paying you at the garbage can factory.
That's a good question.
I feel like you'd make more money
Just on your normal.
just on your normal
salary.
wages than selling art.
Yeah.
and
No.
postage stamps.
No, I did. This was before. I just learned about people getting paid yesterday. I
Really?
didn't know. I thought the garbage can factory was my mother.
So you're working. Oh well, geez, that's a whole can of worms.
Did you go to? Well, because you were raised there, so you didn't have any kind of schooling or anything like that.
I had to
Sometimes I had 2 books. I had 2 books. I learned everything I knew from 2 books.
Oh, what were those books?
The Hungry Caterpillar
It's a good one.
and the Mixed Up Files of Basil E. Rockweiler about the kids that hide and live in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. That's how I got so tough. I just assumed that was normal because I was hiding living in a garbage can factory.
So then you got out of the factory, closed down. So then you sold the collages, and you made enough money to take a bus to come to New York to see Brendan. How'd you find him?
Find who?
Brendan.
That's a good question. I just went wherever the first bus was going. I guess I lucked out.
Oh, yeah, that is really lucky.
Yeah, you just got on the bus and got off and saw Brendan?
Yeah, well, I didn't get on the bus. I got into the baggage area.
So this is coming from
Okay.
Cleveland to New
a little
York.
bit, a couple loopholes here
You're in the
story.
baggage area.
You didn't have to pay for this bus ticket. You just got in the baggage area.
So then, well, it's
No,
good
I
that
paid.
you paid to be in the baggage area.
Yeah, I'm not
Who
that.
did you pay?
I paid the guy at the bus station.
And he threw you in the baggage.
No, I don't. Like I said, that was the first day I ever been outside. I didn't know. I thought that was a different area of the bus.
So you
you
just
just
wandered in there.
Got in there and no one said anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, go ahead. You got another question?
Oh, I got a lot. I got
Yeah,
a lot
no,
of
yeah,
questions.
yeah,
This
sure.
guy's got a real. I think he's got some real loose,
It's a tough life.
tough life and some loose marbles in his head.
Sure.
I don't want to be
No,
aggressive to Tough James.
no, no. Go ahead, man. You got to ask these questions.
No, I think yeah. So, what do you plan? What are your plans here in New York?
I just looking for another garbage can factory.
I
'Cause that's all I know.
mean, they probably got him here in New York. Well, I don't know.
No, there aren't any garbage can factories.
There
There's a
have-
Target. They sell garbage.
Yeah, but they have to be made somewhere, so there must
Yeah, but
be
you can't-
some
no,
kind of
there's-
place.
What kind of factories?
Let
do
me
they
ask
have?
you this. Do they have any of those red Doritos?
Yeah, they got Red Doritos.
'Cause that's all I've ever eaten.
So change it up. You're in New York. Get some falafel.
So,
How do I know if I'm able to digest anything other than red Doritos? 'Cause they had a vending machine at the garbage can factory. I'd get 3 packages of red Doritos per week.
Where were you getting this money from for the vending machine, or were you smashing the vending machine open?
you probably knew a trick if you worked there that long.
No,
Oh, that's probably good.
no, there was a kindly old man that ran the conveyor belt, and he'd give me 35 cents every 2 days. I'd save that money up, and I'd buy red Doritos. I never drank anything. I never had a liquid till 2 days ago.
Oh man, that
Never
must-
had a liquid. You got some. Probably you do have some digestive problems.
Yeah.
Well, that might be why I'm only 3 feet tall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's got more to do with genetics. Well, no, I guess if you were just raised there and you had no, what's it called? Like vitamins or what is it called? Like nutrients. If you had no nutrients, yeah, I guess you might.
Yeah,
not
it's a
grow.
miracle you're alive.
What So you're looking for a garbage can factory. You're hanging out with Brendan. You just got here. What I don't know. The possibilities of meeting a woman or a man. I don't know what you're into.
Yeah, I'd love to meet a woman. There was one woman who worked at the garbage can factory. Her name was Nancy.
Oh, so what happened there?
Nothing. But a lot of times I'd look at her and I'd draw pictures of her one time I found a purple crayon and I drew a picture of Nancy all over the locker room walls. And then sometimes I'd kiss it.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Well, I'd wait till everyone went home
Mm.
and I had this nice picture of Nancy that I drew with my purple crayon, and I'd take a little of the hair that I'd secretly stolen from Nancy,
Mm.
and I'd tape it up on the wall.
All right, look, I don't think we're gonna have time for this, Tough James.
Brendan's back.
guys.
Oh, Brendan, you're back.
Yeah,
Oh,
hold
good.
on a second. Hold on.
really left us in this room with a long time with that.
Yeah, Tough James, could you cover your ears for a second?
Yeah, that won't be a problem because I don't hear too good anyway.
Okay, yeah, just cover your ears. Thanks, guys. I don't know what to do about this guy. He's
Yeah.
come. He's followed me. It's real weird.
You gotta lose him.
I gotta get him out of here, right?
Yeah, I don't know though because he's got a pretty tough life. Not that sometimes some people walk into
His
your
life was
life.
pretty easy. He just lived in one place. Ate a bunch of
Dude,
Doritos.
Ate nothing but red Doritos, 3 bags just for a week.
Yeah, guys. He's 3 feet tall. He looks like Golem.
Yeah.
His skin is see-through. Anyway, we got it. That's gonna time is up for today. But I'm gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do about this guy. Tough James, uncover your ears. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I don't.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah,
I never
Yeah.
met anyone like that. I don't think.
I've never met anyone.
Well, you met Brendan and Nancy. And
Yeah.
the kindly old guy that gave you the Dorito money.
No, I was just saying that to fit in. I'll tell you the truth. I didn't know what met meant.
Oh, all right, well,
Well, that would make sense
boy.
then.
Okay. Well, listen, I don't think it's going to work out with him. I don't think we'll have him back on the podcast. But that's been the Rad Dudecast, episode 8.
8.
Later.
And, if you've listened to this episode all the way through, tweet at me, Candy Chandelier is your code word.
Candy
we'll send
Chandelier.
you-
Tweet it to @the Rad Dudecast.
Oh, I just want to say, Fett sent me a nice message about how he really enjoyed the last one. I just want to say thanks.
Shout out to Fetz.
Yeah, he just had a baby too.
Hey, happy baby.
Candy Chandelier. Candy Chandelier.
Thanks.
Bye.